that you can have a brand new car with a German badge for about £1,000,000, you'd probably be thinking, okay, what's the catch? Well, maybe there doesn't have to be a catch. Introducing the Volkswagen Santana. Volkswagen has brought some of their Chinese assembled models to the Philippines, and today we take a closer look at the Santana. Prices for the subcompact starts at a very competitive 686,000 pesos for the 1.4-liter manual variant and tops off at 998,000 pesos for the GTS Wagon. This can be had with an optional bullpunked infotainment system for an additional 31,000 pesos. But before we get into that, let's check out the exterior. Regardless of what trim you look at, the Santana isn't what you would call flashy. But that's not a bad thing because its simple design means it's hard to fault and it will most likely age well. Starting with the front, all the lines and parts are conventional. Everything is straightforward and yet it isn't what you would call dull or boring. It's just nothing seems desperate for attention, which I think gives it a touch of class. You get halogen headlamps and these fog lamps for the SE and GTS variants. The uncomplicated design language is carried over to the sides with straightforward body lines. The Santana MT rolls on 14-inch rims with wheel covers, while the 1.5-liter variants get 15-inch alloys wrapped in eco tires. Upgrading to bigger wheels will really do wonders for this car. So at the back, it's the same story, extremely conventional. But as far as trunk space is concerned, the Wagon provides you with 372 liters of space while the seats are up, and 1,255 liters of space with the rear seats folded. The sedan, on the other hand, gives you an abundant 480 liters of trunk space. Similar to the exterior, the Santana's cockpit leans towards the simple side. Everything here is also conventional, which means it's also extremely intuitive. Operating the controls here requires absolutely no guesswork. The instrument cluster houses an analog speedometer and rev counter with a multi-info display in the middle, which provides information such as your trip and fuel mileage, fuel consumption, time, temperature, and a digital readout of your speed. There are also buttons on the steering wheel for certain functions of your infotainment and multi-info display. The AC controls are manual, which again makes it extremely easy to use. This particular unit is fitted with the optional bullpunked infotainment system, which has mirror link that allows you to hook up your phone. It also displays a lot of useful information such as your engine speed, water levels, and last oil change, to name a few. As far as materials go, there is a lot of hard plastic on the dash and along the door panels, which is not a crime in this segment. The interior of the Santana may not have everything you want, but it definitely has everything you need. There is adequate storage, cup and bottle holders, and this nicely placed armrest. As simple as this interior is, sitting here or owning this won't make you feel like some cheapskate who deprived themselves of the better things in life. And I'm not sure how Volkswagen managed to pull it off. It could be the carbon fiber touches, or maybe this red line that stretches across the dashboard. Oh, I know what it is. It's probably this awesome sunroof. Time to check out the back seats. Okay, so sitting here at the back, you'll see that there's more than enough leg and headroom. Now you can probably manage to sit 3 adults here, but it might be a good time to practice social distancing because this is still a subcompact. Now there aren't many toys to speak of here, not even a center armrest, but it's still an extremely comfortable place to be in. And I like the fact that it's surrounded by a lot of glass, which actually makes it feel bigger than it actually is. Under the hood of the Comfort Line and GTS Santana lies a 1.5-liter multi-point injection engine that produces 108 horsepower and 150 Nm of torque. This is mated to a 6-speed automatic. The manual transmission Trendline gets a slightly smaller 1.4-liter engine that pumps out 89 horsepower and 132 Nm of torque and is mated to a 5-speed transmission. So we're behind the wheel of a German-engineered automobile. So should we expect this to go around corners like a BMW or accelerate like a Porsche? Well, let's not forget that this is still a subcompact. And most buyers in the market for this kind of vehicle would probably prioritize comfort and convenience over anything else. And in terms of that, the Santana truly delivers. Seriously, this thing is a joy to drive. It's not the kind of car that you're gonna feel bad about having to do driving duties. The suspension is extremely compliant, even when going over bad pavement. It's actually very comfortable. So I've been driving this thing for a few minutes now, and it already feels as if I know this car like the back of my hand. It fits like a glove. And that's probably because this dashboard sits so low. So you have a really good commanding view of your surroundings. And driving in the Philippines is like a constant game of patintero, where you're trying to avoid all sorts of things left and right. But that won't be a problem in the Santana. So as far as steering is concerned, yes, the ratio could be a bit quicker. But it's actually weighted quite nicely. It's not too heavy, it's not too light. It actually gives a good amount of feedback. Okay, so acceleration may not be enough to wet your pants, but at least the power delivery is progressive. And if I'm completely honest, it kind of struggles a bit below the 3000 RPM mark, but you really do feel the power once it gets past 4000 RPM. And I like the fact that power delivery is linear. Now right now it shows that I'm getting 8.8 kilometers per liter. And I'm actually quite impressed, because I've either been crawling in traffic or gunning it. So 8.8 kilometers per liter is not bad at all. Now this car is really easy to drive, mainly because of its size and the fact that visibility is excellent. So NVH is also pretty good, especially for a subcompact. My only real gripe, if it's even worth mentioning, is that this horn button requires a bit of force to operate. But that's about it. So if you're in the market for a new car and you really just want something to get you from point A to point B comfortably, that's easy to drive, then the Santana over-delivers. Because it's just a breeze to drive. You can drive this thing every day in traffic and even take it out on long trips, and I doubt that you'll feel exhausted. So there are a lot of choices out there as far as subcompacts are concerned, and you know, the competition is cutthroat. So it begs the question, is the Santana a compelling choice? And if I were the market for a subcompact, this would definitely be on my short list, simply because of how easy it is to drive, again because of the visibility, and it's also so comfortable. It's a pleasurable driving experience, and if you're going to use this as a daily driver, this is a really good choice because it's not stressful to drive at all. So if you want a stress-free driving experience, then this is the car for you. Okay, so I've also decided to take the 1.4 liter Trendline out just to see if the manual transmission and the slightly smaller engine would make much of a difference as far as the driving experience is concerned. So on paper, the power deficit between the 1.5 liter and the 1.4 liter may seem like a big deal, but behind the wheel, it's actually quite negligible. This thing is actually quite peppy. It actually feels a bit more nimble, but I know it isn't. It's probably because of the manual tranny. Now, if I were to really nitpick, and this doesn't even qualify as a complaint, that's more of a recommendation. The placement of the clutch should be a bit more to the left, because it's a bit too close to the brake pedal. But that really doesn't affect the driving experience all that much. Now, as far as gear shifts are concerned, it's a bit notchy, but still very precise. The throws are a bit long, but again, this isn't a sports car. It's a subcompact, so it's quite acceptable. And truth be told, I kind of miss driving a manual. So overall, this drives just like the GTS, and that's a good thing. You can't even tell that this has a smaller engine, because it's really light on its feet. You do feel the power deficit past the 5,000 RPM mark, but otherwise feels almost as powerful as the GTS. So you see, there really isn't a catch. Now, this may not have all the bells and whistles, but it's still quite rare, and that means it still seems quite exclusive. And that alone is a great selling point, at least for me. Because sometimes when something's affordable, owning the same thing as half the entire population sometimes kills the fun. It gives it that run-of-the-mill garden variety vibe. And at least you don't see as many of these on the roads yet. And that gives it a sense of exclusiveness, which will still turn some heads, despite its simplicity.